get to the FBI investigating the latest assassination attempt on Donald Trump. I covered this extensively yesterday. We're obviously going to cover it again today because it's a big story. Here it is.
To our top story, though, for the second time in just 2 months, an assassination attempt on former President Trump. It happened at his golf course in Florida. President Biden said there's no place for political violence. Vice President Harris says she's deeply disturbed and condemned political violence. We have team coverage. Rachel Scott starts us off from West Palm Beach. Good morning.
George, good morning to you. This is the second time this is happening in just 9 weeks, and there is still one big question: how a suspected gunman was able to get this close to the former president of the United States and Republican nominee. Officials say that part of the problem is all of this shrubbery that surrounds Donald Trump's golf course. They say that once you are in it, you are essentially out of sight. That was until a Secret Service agent spotted a barrel of a rifle sticking out of the bushes.
Oh, he's live. Police are giving an update.
Latest updates.
I love this cop, dude. This sheriff is so funny. He just looks like an old-timey racist sheriff.
We're going to do a limited amount of questions. So make them good, right? Don't get into what if and all this. Get legitimate questions. We got it?
All right, now.
Okay, everybody ready?
We caught the man.
Okay. We're here today.
We caught the perpetrator.
Investigation in regards to the incident at Trump International. With me is the U.S. Attorney, the FBI, and the Secret Service. Just to give you a little information, as you well know, the road down there on Summit is still blocked off. It will be blocked off probably for the remainder of today and probably a good portion of tomorrow until some of the investigative things need to be done and finished. But we're accommodating people in and out, getting them to the library, getting them to the post office, so the public is not going to be that far inconvenienced. The security level at Mar-a-Lago is the highest it can possibly be now. The road closures are back in place and will remain there. The checkpoints are in place. And my commitment to the Secret Service is to give them every possible resource from PBSO. Once they determine the level of security that they need, they will get all the resources possible. So having said that, I'll let you talk to the U.S. Attorney.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Fuck, I gotta pee.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Mackenzie Lapointe. I am the United States Attorney for the Southern District of Florida. I want to start by expressing my deep gratitude to Sheriff Rick Bradshaw of Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office for hosting today's press conference and for his department's assistance with this matter. I'm truly grateful for your leadership, sir. I'm also pleased to be joined by our partners in federal law enforcement from the FBI and the United States Secret Service, and also from ATF. Joining us today for comments and announcements are Special Agent in Charge Jeffrey B. Veltri of the FBI Miami Field Office, and Acting Director of the U.S. Secret Service, Ron Rowe. I want to also thank the men and women in law enforcement who have been working around the clock in the initial phase of this ongoing investigation. Our partners include federal and local authorities who effectuated the apprehension of the defendant and have aided in ensuring federal charges were filed against him this morning. We're here to announce that Ryan Wesley Routh, 58 years old, of Hawaii, has been charged by a criminal complaint in the Southern District of Florida with firearms offenses related to an incident which occurred yesterday at Trump International Golf Course right here in West Palm Beach. Routh was charged federally with possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and possession and receipt of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. He had his initial appearance today before Magistrate Judge Ryan McCabe in the federal courthouse in West Palm Beach. According to the allegations in the complaint, a U.S. Secret Service agent walking the golf course perimeter saw what appeared to be a rifle poking out of the tree line.
I told you.
After the agent fired
I
a service
told
weapon
you,
in the direction of the
motherfuckers,
rifle,
yo.
a witness saw a man later identified as Ralph.
Hey, what I tell you, dude?
Routh was later apprehended by officers
Look at his fucking
from the
charges,
Martin County
dude.
Sheriff's Office in coordination with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. The complaint alleges that in the area of the tree line from which Routh fled, agents found a digital camera, a backpack, a loaded SKS-style rifle with a scope, and a black plastic bag containing food. The serial number on the rifle was obliterated. According to the complaint, Routh was convicted of felonies in North Carolina in December 2002 and March 2010, and therefore was prohibited from possessing a firearm. The FBI is leading.
If the
this
NRA
investigation,
had
this ongoing
any
investigation.
fucking credibility and
As the
any
Attorney
intellectual
General stated
honesty,
earlier
they'd defend
today,
this
the
man.
FBI is continuing its investigation of this incident as an assassination attempt upon the former president. The investigation remains at its early stages. The entire Justice Department, including the FBI, the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Florida, and the National Security Division are coordinating closely with our law enforcement partners to fully investigate and prosecute this matter. The charges we're announcing reflect the strong collaboration of the agencies represented here. The U.S. Attorney's Office, the Department of Justice, would be unable to carry forth our mission without the invaluable assistance of our federal, state, and local law enforcement partners. I would like to thank the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, and we have Chris Robinson here, Special Agent in Charge, and your Secret Service for the invaluable assistance they are providing, they have been providing. I would also like to recognize the Palm Beach County and Martin County Sheriff's Offices for apprehending the defendant. Again, without the local authorities to assist in those things, it would be literally impossible to accomplish the things we're able to accomplish on the federal side.
Haitian Attorney General Omega Law? Dog, you think that's even remotely surprising? There's like 500,000 Haitians.
With the U.S. Attorney's Office
What's the number of Haitians in Florida?
And the
It's like,
counterterrorism section of the Justice Department's National Security Division for their nonstop work over the last 24 to 30 hours. Together, we will continue to work tirelessly to ensure accountability and the pursuit of justice. At this time, I will invite
Haitian ancestry, Florida, 544,000. There are 500,000 Haitians in the state of Florida,
Ron
dog.
Rowe will provide remarks before we open the floor for a few questions. On our end, given that this is a pending matter before the court,
Like, why
and
the
the
fuck? Like,
investigation
it's
is
not
ongoing,
even remotely
all comments will
surprising.
be limited. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. For a quick introduction, my name is Jeffrey Veltri, FBI Special Agent in Charge for the Miami Field Office. The FBI immediately responded to the scene here in West Florida, and we are investigating this matter as an apparent assassination attempt of former President Trump. We view this as extremely serious and are determined to provide answers as to what led up to the events which took place. I want to emphasize we're just a little over 24 hours into this investigation, so we're going to provide as much as we can publicly while our investigation is still ongoing. We must also stress that the United States Attorney's Office is pursuing charges, and that limits some of the details that we can discuss publicly. Yesterday afternoon, Martin County Sheriff's Office took custody of Ryan Routh, and he was transported back to Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. Our FBI agents then attempted to interview him, and he invoked his right to an attorney. In the last 24 hours, the FBI and our partners have been dedicated to investigating the incident and utilizing all available resources. These efforts have included our investigative team and the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Florida, in conjunction with DOJ's National Security Division, are actively working hand in hand to pursue and subsequently execute search warrants. Thus far, the warrants include a video recording device, subjects' cellular devices, a vehicle, and other electronic devices located at previous known addresses. We are coordinating with the United States Secret Service to complete numerous interviews of agents on scene. We have also interviewed 7 civilian witnesses at the scene, and that is just the beginning. Our FBI's Honolulu and Charlotte field offices have initiated interviews of several family members, friends, and former colleagues of the subject. FBI has deployed several specialty teams and assets from FBI headquarters and our lab division in Quantico to include evidence and critical incident response personnel. The evidence response team is collecting and processing multiple evidentiary items. These range from the rifle, which is an SKS model with a scope and obliterated serial numbers, to 2 bags, the subject's electronics, and what appears to be ceramic tiles. DNA has also been collected from those items, which are being sent to Quantico for testing. We will also process the subject's vehicle for evidence. The Cellular Analysis Survey Team, what we refer to as CAST, conducted thorough analysis of the subject's cellular device locations. The CAST analysis aligns with witnesses' account of the subject's presence at the scene both before and around the time of the incident on September 15th. More specifically, we're continuing to conduct analysis and will be compiling the subject's movements in the days and months leading up to September 15th. Cellular data shows that the subject was in the vicinity of the golf course roughly 12 hours before the engagement with the United States Secret Service. Our investigative teams conducted a neighborhood canvass in an effort to collect and obtain relevant video footage. The subject had an active online presence, and we are going through what he posted and any searches he conducted online. In addition, we're going through media reports and public statements he made that he wanted to recruit Afghan soldiers and others to fight for Ukraine. The FBI has sent multiple requests to companies for returns on the subject's phone
Dude, I love this
and social
guy.
media accounts.
I love this guy so much.
We
He
received
is so
several
insane.
returns and are waiting on additional responses.
Look, you can't fault a guy for being a go-getter. Okay.
Our investigative team is completing analysis of the returns and actioning leads as needed, and we anticipate continuing until the FBI knows the full totality of the subject's social media presence. By way of his background, in 2002, as the United States Attorney mentioned, the subject was charged and convicted in North Carolina for possession of a weapon of mass destruction. Law enforcement checks also revealed that from 1997 to 2010, the subject had numerous felony charges for stolen goods. I can also share with you that he was the subject
A weapon of mass destruction is a machine gun, an automatic machine gun. He had one.
19 tip to the FBI where it was alleged he was a felon in possession.
I'm going to toot our own horn here as a community, but we outflanked the FBI on this shit and mainstream media on this shit. We literally were covering all of this. Like yesterday, immediately, like 10 minutes after we found out what his name was.
Honolulu. On behalf of the FBI, I would like to thank the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office and Martin County Sheriff's Office for their incredible work in actioning the witnesses' information and rapidly apprehending the subject. I would also like to thank the United States Secret Service, the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Florida, the Department of Justice's National Security Division, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives,
on live TV.
and our FBI field offices in both Honolulu.
That's really interesting you say that because we do fact checking
Law
on
enforcement
everything.
activity related to the subject. Your continued partnerships have been invaluable. Oftentimes in law enforcement, we tell citizens to be vigilant and aware of their surroundings. Yesterday, a citizen provided remarkable assistance, which led to the arrest of this subject. We appreciate the public's diligence in passing potential tips and information regarding the subject and this incident to the FBI. If you have any information, please call 1-800-CALL-FBI or go online to tips, that's tips.fbi.gov. With that, let me turn it over to the United States Secret Service Acting Director, Ron Rowe.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yesterday afternoon, this country was reminded of the heightened and dynamic threat environment the United States Secret Service and its protectees face on a daily basis. Immediately following the assassination attempt of former President Donald J. Trump on July 13th, the Secret Service moved to increase assets to an already enhanced security posture for the former president. In the days that followed, President Biden made it clear that he wanted the highest levels of protection for former President Trump and for Vice President Harris. The Secret Service moved to sustain increases in assets and the level of protection sought. And those things were in place yesterday. At approximately 1:30 p.m., former President Trump was playing golf during an off-the-record movement to the Trump International Golf Course. A Secret Service advance agent
How'd
supporting...
this guy know he was going to be there, though? God, Trump is so fucking predictable, is so lazy, and just, like, loves golf so much that this dude was like, yeah, he'll play golf today. It's Sunday.
The alleged gunman was on the public side of the fence near the sixth green. A layered approach of security is integral to the Secret Service's protective methodology.
Wait, he wasn't even on the private property? He was on
It's also
public?
the key to our success.
Wait!
As former President Trump was moving through the fifth fairway
that's
across
awesome.
the course and out of sight of the sixth green, the agent, who was visually sweeping the area of the sixth green, saw the subject armed with what he perceived to be a rifle and immediately discharged his firearm.
Okay, he didn't do nothing illegal. Fuck you mean, dude? Yo, this is Florida, baby. He has a right to bear arms on public property. Am I wrong? Excuse me, he's innocent.
Detail immediately evacuated the president
Free my
to a safe
mans!
location.
Free my man.
Protective methodologies of the Secret Service were effective yesterday. The former president's protective apparatus allowed for the early identification of the threat and led to a safe evacuation. The increased assets directed by President Biden were in place yesterday. These included the counter-sniper.
Oh, it's because he's a felon. Oh, it's because he had a scratched-out rifle with the serial number scratched out. Excuse me, I thought this was America, okay? I thought this was America, goddammit.
Unmanned aerial system elements. All of these entities were present
Second
yesterday.
Amendment has the highest
And while
priority
all
here.
of these assets were in place, as I've said publicly, we must satisfy the basic requirements of the Secret Service's protective methodologies. In partnership with local law enforcement, we did just that. And the agents' hypervigilance and the detailed swift action was textbook. And I commend them and our partners for an exemplary response in keeping former President Trump safe. And I will tell you, having served in local law enforcement in Palm Beach County, I can state that I am tremendously impressed.
Yeah, I told you he has the highest level.
Of the Palm Beach County Sheriff's
For the record,
Office
of course he has the
Sheriff
highest
Snyder
level.
with
He's
the
a
Martin
former
County
president,
Sheriff's
and
Office.
he's already almost
What
been
was critical to
assassinated.
this
Like, what the
was
fuck
the
do you
quick
mean?
reaction, the response,
That's why the conservatives are being
hypervigilance
fucking so
of the
stupid
men and
crying
women of the
about it.
United
They're like,
States
no, you
Secret
don't
Service,
understand. It needs to be even higher.
who since July 13th have been rising to meet an unprecedented and hyper-dynamic threat environment. And they are rising to this moment, and I could not be more proud of them and the way they have executed, not only yesterday, but what they're doing today and what they are doing tomorrow and what they will always do because it is their duty. Thank you.
Okay.
I didn't realize trying to go out and hunt on public property was illegal. Sorry, didn't recognize that.
Answer the question.
Didn't know that we were living in communist China, okay? Wow. I thought this was America, goddammit.
So at this time, it was an off-the-record movement, meaning it was not on the...
Trump should get the highest protection. He does. And also, he shouldn't. He does, but he shouldn't. Why? Because he's not president.
The elements and the methodologies of the Secret Service. There was a front element. It did its job in sweeping ahead of the president. That's what identified this individual who was in that wood line. And the swift action of that agent doing his job, pushing out ahead, sweeping while the president was behind him several hundred yards and several holes away, out of sight from the gunman, did his job. And that was what alerted the detail and the
In
swift
Florida, you
action
cannot
that
walk
triggered
around with a
that.
gun, or else you will get arrested for attempting to assassinate a presidential nominee. Yeah, it's fucking bullshit.
Based on what I know now, and it's an active investigation, I don't have any information on that.
Terry Parker.
How many times did your agents go around the perimeter and scope out the golf course during the 12 hours that this guy was holed up in the shrubbery?
So this was an off-the-record movement. It wasn't a site that was on his scheduled. It wasn't part of his schedule. So there was no posting up of it because he wasn't supposed to have gone there in the first place.
Have you briefed former President Trump on your findings so far, and has his campaign asked for any changes in his security going forward after yesterday?
If you don't mind looking around as well when you talk. Over here. Thank you so much.
Sorry. So I've had a conversation with the former president. We've explained and we've worked with the campaign. The president is aware that he has highest levels of protection that the Secret Service is providing him.
Specific reaction, what we saw yesterday?
We constantly evaluate based on threat. And yesterday what we show is that our agents and our protective methodologies, and there's a lot of tactical assets in place, things that have been put in place as a result of what happened 60 days ago, those elements are working, and that demonstrates the redundancies that we have. And so we constantly evaluate. We'll of course, look at this and see what lessons learned from it. But as of right now, we are constantly evaluating that threat. And if we need to ratchet up additionally, we will. Yes, sir.
Do we know when Routh arrived in Florida in general, when he arrived in Palm Beach, the area?
That's a question probably for
specifically,
the FBI.
and if he's been at the golf course prior to this scoping it out.
We're in the process of collecting a lot of evidence, and that will be part of that investigation to determine his whereabouts going back quite some time.
Do you have any detail on where he might have gotten the gun?
That's part of the investigation as well. Again, that's going to be a little bit challenged until we're able to determine the serial number on that gun. So we're hopeful to be able to do that. We're still looking into that.
The sheriff mentioned about the highest level of protection that they would lock down the golf course. Was that a miscommunication then, being that President Biden ordered the highest level of protection?
Do you want to take this, Sheriff? Okay. So here's the deal. When it comes to Secret Service protection, we provide the highest level. So, for example, yesterday, counter-assault team elements. I'm not going to go into the number of personnel that we have out there, but we have the highest levels from Secret Service. When we work with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, like, for example, yesterday, during that emergency action response, we had their local tactical team assets partner with our local tactical team assets. We had their helicopter up in the air, providing us 360 and situational awareness of the overhead for if there were any potential threats coming at us. So what we did yesterday was exercise our emergency plan based on the number of tactical assets and the highest level of protection that we are providing. The sheriff and I have talked. Now, clearly, when you go down Southern Boulevard right now and you try to get over to Palm Beach and you see the robust presence that's existing outside of Mar-a-Lago, the heavy uniform presence, the additional assets of the Secret Service. And for those of you that were here in 2017, when the president was in office, when you look at that footprint now and you look at it today, there's not much difference there. There is heavy uniform presence out there. And again, what I go back to is yesterday was an off-the-record movement. Off the record. And the president wasn't even really supposed to go there. It was not on his official schedule. And so we put together a security.
Yo, why are taxpayers funding all this shit, dude? Why?
Special Agent Daughtry, in terms of him being in the vicinity.
Like, listen, I'm a small government conservative. I'm a fiscally responsible conservative, and I find this behavior to be abhorrent.
When you say in the vicinity,
I find it to be totally and utterly unacceptable.
Down the street at a restaurant.
It was in very close proximity to where he was spotted by the Secret Service. In terms of your first question, whether he was there earlier, our investigation is still looking to determine that.
Whoa.
Okay, another lock I made was the funniest outcome possible from all of this is that Trump won't be able to golf again, at least without like severe PTSD. And I find that to be really funny. Couple locks from yesterday that came to be true. Obviously, the charges that they have for him are like light in terms of a political assassination because, you know, you have to prove intent, and I'm sure they will be able to. They've already subpoenaed his they've subpoenaed his phone and whatnot. Another lock was when I said he probably already has the highest level of security because he's a former president who's running for president who's already had an attempted assassination, even though conservatives are fucking crying about that. And yeah, that's it. This is just, it's another
Paradigm
ridiculous story, and it's not going to go anywhere because Republicans kind of own political violence and also own guns in general. So there's not a lot of sympathy for them on this front at all.
We need to look at what our protective methodology is. We need to get out of a reactive model and get to a readiness model. There could be another geopolitical event that could put the United States into a kinetic conflict or some other issue that may result in additional responsibilities and protectees of the United States Secret Service. And so we are working, we are making information available to all of our partners. And I just want to say that the commitment of Congress to the Secret Service throughout the years has been tremendous. And we will continue to work with them and Secretary Mayorkas, whose support in making sure that we're getting what we need has been phenomenal. He is one of our biggest champions and our advocate. And so we're having these conversations, and I feel confident that we will get what we need. We have immediate needs. We have future needs, too. I need to make sure that our counter snipers are the best trained counter snipers in the world, that they are exactly doing what we need them to do, and that they match counterparts in the military and Tier 1 forces.
Dog, they couldn't even fucking snipe this guy.
To make sure that we get those for our training facility. We also have a necessary need to make sure that we're getting the personnel that we have. And that requires us to be able to have the funding to be able to hire more people. You can't just give me money and say, hey, we're going to make sure that everybody gets overtime. Because the men and women of the Secret Service right now, we are redlining them. And they are rising to this moment, and they are meeting the challenges right now. And if you look back at their body of work over the last 60 days, the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, the Republican National Convention in Chicago, a visit of Prime Minister Netanyahu to Washington, D.C., and to West Palm Beach, which Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office supported. And
wait, we're protecting Netanyahu too?
Social debate in Philadelphia last week. And for those in the media that have been to a national special security event, if you saw the National Constitution Center last week, what you saw was pretty much a mini national special security event with the number of assets that were on that perimeter. And so our folks are rising to this moment, but it requires all of us to be able to have good conversations and make sure that we're getting the Secret Service where it needs to be. And I'm confident that we will achieve that because we don't have an alternative. Success, we have to have it every day. We cannot have failures. And in order to do that, we're going to have some hard conversations with Congress, and we're going to achieve that.
Last question, one more.
The special agent in charge of the FBI,
Yes, sir.
did he act alone? Did he have some kind of help?
At this point, we're still exploring that, investigating that. Our investigation will determine that. We do not have information that he's
Service protects all foreign leaders when they visit. I like calling them the secret. The secret service.
Our investigation is still determining that. Thank you.
All right. Anyhow, that's it. We're not gonna do any more. All right. You got a lot of information there. The last thing I will tell you is, like the director of the Secret Service says, you know, the president called me last night, President Trump. He thanked me for everything that we did along with the Secret Service. He knows we work great together, and he feels safe. That's important because he is.
Uh-oh. What the fuck? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Thank you folks for being here.
Okay, so let's get back to it. This guy's neck is giving Thanksgiving. So is Trump's neck, okay? So ladies and gentlemen, okay? Donald Trump, more like Donald Drumpf, am I right? He had another attempted assassination, is what the woke mainstream media wants you to think. What I think is an honest-to-God, patriotic American was exercising his Second Amendment rights on public property. Maybe he wanted to shoot ceramic plates. Maybe he wanted to go out and duck hunt. Okay? Who knows? Here at the Hasan broadcast, we look at narratives such as this one, and we think to ourselves, is he actually Donald Trump's gay lover? Okay? Is he actually Donald Trump's gay lover? I thought this was America. I thought in the United States of America, you could potentially go out and exercise your Second Amendment rights. Turns out you can't. Turns out they've gone woke, folks. The conservatives, they have gone woke. Let's continue.
And out of a fence, he jumped into action, sending the suspect running. This morning, for the second time in just 2 months, the FBI is investigating an apparent attempted assassination on Donald Trump. ABC News learning the former president was on his West Palm Beach golf course with donor Steve Witkoff near the 5th hole when a Secret Service agent suddenly saw a barrel of a rifle sticking out of the fence just 300 to 400 yards away.
What they do is they have an agent that jumps one hole ahead of time to where the president was at.
I like that they also revealed how they I like that they gave pointers basically to the third attempt. You know what I mean? Like if someone wants to try this shit again, now you know better type shit. The Secret Service famously is always one hole ahead. It's like, okay, well, that's, I mean, cool that you're revealing that, I guess. I don't know why. Are you trying to do this? They're trying to make Secret Service's job harder. They're like new game plus difficulty for them. They're like, come on, pick up the pace.
And he was able to spot this rifle barrel sticking out of the fence and immediately engage that individual, at which time the individual took off.
Sources say Secret Service fired 4 to 6 rounds as Trump was rushed to a safe area. The suspected gunman went running, leaving behind an AK-47 style rifle, 2 backpacks which contained ceramic tile, and a GoPro hanging on the fence. An eyewitness catching the suspect fleeing.
Fortunately, we were able to locate a witness that came to us and said, hey, I saw the guy running out of the bushes. He jumped into a black Nissan, and I took a picture of the vehicle and the tag.
Snitch.
Which was great.
With that information, police were able to track down the car. This is the moment authorities surrounded the suspect in the vehicle.
We knew we had the car, everything lined up. We surrounded the car, didn't give him a chance to flee. He had no alternative but to surrender.
Multiple law enforcement sources tell ABC News the man detained by police is 58-year-old Ryan Wesley Routh. Overnight, law enforcement descending on his home in Greensboro, North Carolina, going through the residence floor by floor, searching by a flashlight. Sources also say he had ties to Hawaii, his neighbor there speaking with ABC News.
I kind of was shocked that all of this is happening.
While authorities are working to determine a motive, sources familiar with the investigation say they are looking into whether Roth had any frustrations with Trump's position on Ukraine. He frequently posted on social media about the war, seen here in a 2022 video in Poland around the time he went to Ukraine.
And then we're going to stay as long as it takes to get every Russian out of Ukraine.
Trump traveled back to his Mar-a-Lago estate and a social media post thanking law enforcement for keeping him safe, saying the job done was absolutely outstanding. His son Eric Trump telling Fox News, "My father is running out of lives." It was just 65 days ago that Trump survived an attempted assassination at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. The former president was grazed by a bullet in the ear, ducking for cover behind the podium. And this morning, there are questions once again about how a gunman could get this close to a former president and Republican nominee.
He's not the city president. If he was, we would have had this entire golf course around it.
By the way, this guy is not Secret Service. He's the fucking sheriff. So I don't know why he said this, because the Secret Service was like, no, dog, he has the highest level of priority. And the Republicans ran with that. The Republicans basically ran with that and have been crying about the Secret Service facilitating in the likely assassination of the next president, the current president, and the former president, Donald Trump. All three are the same guy. And I just, I find it very strange.
The security is limited to the areas that the Secret Service deems possible.
So there's a heavy police presence here outside of...
I feel like this guy is glowing very bright, if you know what I mean. Dude, I'm not gonna lie, when I looked at his fucking when we first looked at this dude's social media, Ryan Routh's social media, I usually believe that the easier to understand narrative, Like, the simpler narrative is probably the truth, but this guy's fucking footprint, dude. This guy's footprint is so nutty. Like, it's so insane that it almost feels disrespectful if, like, none of the federal agencies actually attempted to activate him at any point. Like, he is the perfect schizo guy that you coerce into doing something that you then apprehend before he does that thing. And then you turn around and go, yep, see, we did a great job. Like, he's got the motivation. He's a go-getter. He's got the ambition. He's got the weapons. You know what I mean? This is going to get clipped. I don't know why you're saying that. I'm not going along with this idea, but like, it does feel to me as this is wee woo speculation alert, but it's just like so perfect for like a patsy. Okay? And it's kind of funny because like it could work in either direction almost. I think it's just shitty timing, like you say, bro is just trying to shoot some ceramics. Nah. I mean, I think, wait, apparently he wasn't aiming for Trump. Breaking, the suspect in Sunday's apparent assassination attempt did not have a line of sight on Donald Trump and never fired his weapon. Wait, first of all, I said this already. If he wasn't even brandishing or I mean, he was like if he was like the intent probably won't be super hard to prove for a guy like this because he was literally fucking putting his goddamn phone number online. So if you're putting your phone number and your email online when you're adding Zelensky, I'm sure you've said some unhinged shit in your private correspondence where you can like immediately figure out the intent. But let's say you can't. Let's say you can't prove intent beyond reasonable doubt. Just a fun thing to think about for me, at least. Free my man is what I'm saying. Free Ryan Routh. He did nothing wrong. He was just exercising his Second Amendment rights in a country where felons should be able to bear arms. Oh, Jesus Christ. Should Biden pardon him? Yeah. His son said he never really talked about Trump. I mean, he definitely tweeted about Trump, though. He definitely did. Come on. And here's the already required FBI radar. FBI says suspect was subject to 2019 tip. The Federal Bureau of Investigation has said that the suspect was the subject of a tip to the agency in 2019 revolving around his possession of firearms. It was alleged that he was a felon in possession of a firearm, Special Agent Jeffrey Veltri said. Following up on the tip, the alleged complainant was interviewed and did not verify. I repeat, did not verify providing the initial information. The FBI passed on that information to local law enforcement in Honolulu. I mean, this guy was so on the radar that like he was the radar, brother. I mean, he literally was in Ukraine. He was actively trying to work with the Ukrainian Foreign Legion. Like, there is 0% chance that there was never a CIA operative that talked to this guy. Like, there's 0% chance. He was trying to recruit Afghan security forces that were NATO trained to go and fight in Ukraine. Okay? Like, it is virtually impossible for the CIA to have not ever talked to this man. I'm telling you right now. That doesn't mean that he's like a sleeper cell that was activated or if he's CIA or whatever. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm simply stating that the likelihood, Secret Service says agents are overworked. I think you're giving both him and the CIA too much credit. No, I think he's like absolutely a nutty crank. Do you want his website? We already scoured through his website. He was a recruiter in his mind only. No, he was too much of a crank. He was too much of a fucking crank for the Foreign Legion to allow him to fight Okay? A guy like that who has already been barricaded in his place of work before with an automatic machine gun in like 2002, still having access to an arsenal, especially after we just found out that the FBI got a tip about him having a weapon as a felon, is hilarious. Okay? Is fucking incredible. It's the perfect American thing. Law tip, my man did not talk to the cops. That's a good client. We pray for clients as conscientious as this. Also, you don't have to directly be a CIA sleeper cell or even a confidential informant or working with the CIA in any meaningful capacity to have been visited by an agent in general, especially if you're trying to go to Ukraine and work with the Foreign Legion. I suspect that the American State Department is probably aware of you, considering that he was literally interviewed by the New York Times. That definitely makes it likely. Okay, this guy wasn't on just one radar. I think this guy was on every radar.
Driver, take 2 steps to your right.
I do find it strange that like conservatives haven't already like started these narratives, by the way. Like they've also lost their 2-step, bro. Because like if I'm a conservative right now, I'm literally being like, the FBI is trying to personally assassinate my big, beautiful president. The CIA is trying to assassinate my big, beautiful president because he's attacking the deep state. Like, it's kind of shocking. It's kind of shocking to me that they're not going along with this. They're not saying like that because he is anti-deep state, because Trump is anti-deep state, that the deep state is trying to kill him. Because his social media footprint is nutty. Like, it screams. His social media footprint screams like he is obviously super mentally unwell, definitely a crank. But like the things that he cares about in terms of like Ukraine, like freeing Taiwan, like all this stuff is so in line with, he's in his like weird, complicated worldview. I think he's also simultaneously like an advocate for more peace by bringing Kim Jong-un to his house in Hawaii. Anyway.
Take 2 steps to your right. Come back. Driver, walk straight back. Keep walking.
Dude, it's crazy how chill they are with this dude. I swear to God, white supremacy is so goddamn powerful, brother. That's crazy. Like, he's compliant, but think about it. This guy tried to, in their minds at this point, tried to assassinate a former president. You have no idea if he has a gun in the car or not. He ditched his gun when he ran away, but you don't know if he has guns or not. I've seen random black people for like, random black people stealing a fucking Kia get like worse treatment overall from the cops. That's crazy. Like they did worse to fucking Tyreek Hill, bro. It's the Hill, bro. It's the. That's crazy.
Driver, take 2 steps to your right. Take 2 steps to your right. Come back. Driver, walk straight back. Keep walking. Keep that long. Driver, take 2 steps to your right.
Okay, bro, come on with the
Now,
repeat.
Dana Marie McNichol in West Palm Beach, Florida, with more on yesterday's assassination attempt.
Kaylee, Ryan Ruth walked into that federal courtroom this morning smiling, shackled by his hands and feet. He was even seen laughing while speaking to his court-appointed attorney. Now, the judge presented two different charges: possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and a possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. Combined, the judge says he could face 20 years in prison and $500,000 in fines. Fox is told additional federal charges are possible, but we understand that these charges presented today will keep him in jail. Now, Ruth told the judge that he only makes about $3,000 a month with no assets other than 2 trucks in Hawaii. The sheriff said yesterday when Ruth was arrested, his demeanor was perplexing. And that continued today in the courtroom when he was smiling and laughing.
That's awesome.
Made the stop and then at gunpoint ordered him out of the vehicle. He complied. His demeanor was perplexing in some way, despite the fact that we had numerous people out with rifles, uniformed personnel, a helicopter.
And we are just getting our hands on the affidavit, and a couple of things stood out to me. It said he was driving a car with stolen plates. Of course, he fled the scene, and officers were able to pull him over and arrest him on I-95. And then also, Ruth's mobile phone was detected in the area at 2 a.m., so the night before this happened, until 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon. Now, Ruth is being held in the Palm Beach County Jail, and he is expected in court for his next appearance on Monday, September 23rd.
Dana Marie, thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-host Harris Faulkner and
New
Dude, he's
details
so
emerging
fucking
about
proud.
Ryan Wesley
Damn, dog, he's looking kind of nice with it too. What the
Routh,
fuck?
the confirmed suspect in the second assassination attempt of former President Trump, who is now in custody after Florida deputies caught his vehicle fleeing the scene. Our next guest is the sheriff of Martin County, Florida, where the suspect was taken into custody, and Sheriff Snyder joins us now. Sheriff, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Y'all did a great job yesterday. So proud of the work of law enforcement there, working with both counties together and with the Secret Service. Tell us about this suspect. When he was arrested, when he was pulled out of his car, did he say anything? What was his demeanor?
Well, we conducted what you have seen probably 1,000 times, a high-profile felony stop out on I-95 northbound. We already shut the interstate down behind him, made the stop.
Dude, okay, now I'm convinced they do not have a single sober sheriff in the state of Florida. No. I think it's illegal to be a sheriff and sober at the same time. What the fuck, bro? Every sheriff. Why is every sheriff like this in the state of Florida, bro? What the hell's going on, dog? I don't know. He did fucking, hey, man, hey. We stopped him. He was riding around town, thought it was crazy.
And then at gunpoint, ordered him out of the vehicle. He complied. His demeanor was perplexing in some way, despite the fact that we had numerous people out with rifles, uniformed personnel, a helicopter, interstate shutdown. He was as calm as if he was going to a Sunday picnic.
He looks like it in that picture. I know that you were there when Secret Service interviewed him. What was his demeanor there? Did he apologize? Did he say he was remorseful? Did he even speak?
No, he was quiet, and we had to be very respectful. It's a federal investigation, so we don't cross the lines. Our job was to apprehend the suspect. I mean, after all, he just tried to assassinate the highest profile target on the planet. It was extremely fortunate for all of us that he complied, because had he not complied, you'd be asking me right now, what were the circumstances of his death?
Right. Gosh, I'm thankful that's not the case this morning. Where is the suspect now? I know he's behind bars, but where?
Well, what we did is we turned him over to the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. So I don't know where he is right now.
Okay. Did he say any? How did he know that Donald Trump was going to be playing golf? How did he have access to his schedule?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question. We are the border county to Palm Beach. You can't get out of their county without coming through ours. But we don't have the intel from the.
Yeah, how did he know that Donald Trump would be golfing on a Sunday in the midst of a campaign? How did he know? Who could have foreseen that? A real brilliant tactician this guy was.
Scene there. It's hard for me to imagine how he got within rifle range of President Trump.
Yeah. Sheriff, what was your day like yesterday? I know you were all over the media. We appreciate y'all being so transparent with us. But when you heard the news, describe that for us.
Well, I'd gotten home from church and I was having a quick snack, and I heard the bolo to be on the lookout for someone who had just attempted an assassination attempt on President Trump. And as I was sitting there with that snack, I knew he's heading for Martin County. My snack is done. I started getting ready, and within a few minutes of that bolo, my crew was on top of that car and conducted the felony stop.
So great that a witness there at the golf course took a picture of the vehicle and the license plate, told the police department, they notified your county because they knew he was heading in that direction. What's your message to that witness?
Well, my message to that witness is thank you. God bless you for what you did. You stepped up and you made it possible for us to apprehend the suspect, because in all truth, had we not gotten that description, he'd have just sailed right through my county, and who knows if or when we ever would have gotten our hands on it.
You know, we have so much confidence in law enforcement down in Florida. I know the governor there supports you all, and we all support you all. Thank you so much for your work. Have you talked to the governor? I know he wants to do a separate investigation.
I spoke to the governor's representative, who is the director of Department of Transportation. They're in charge of the Florida Highway Patrol, and he told me that from the governor, we could have any asset we needed. And actually, we had created quite a nightmare out there. We had to shut northbound, southbound I-95. We had to wait for a bomb dog to come and make sure there was no explosives in the car. It was a complex scene. We made it come out right, and we were able to turn the suspect over, but it was not an easy scene, I could tell you that.
Yeah, but when I heard that the suspect got away, left the gun there and took off in this black Nissan, and then I heard not too long after that y'all had gotten him, that I-95 was shut down. I heard that Palm Beach International Airport was closed. So y'all did a great job. Thank you for apprehending him, and now we can hopefully get some answers.
Yeah, hopefully we can keep President Trump safe. That's what we need.
Thank you, Sheriff. God bless.
You're welcome. Thank you, same.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube.
We want to update our viewers here with what happened in Florida. We begin this hour with the latest on the possible second assassination attempt on former President Trump. A man is in custody after the Secret Service spotted someone with an AK-style weapon yesterday at Trump's golf course in West Palm Beach. It happened between the 5th and 6th holes, and Trump was around 300 to 500 yards away. Officials say they found a gun, a scope, and a GoPro, among other things, after a Secret Service agent fired multiple shots at the man, forcing him to flee. Later, sheriff's deputies made an arrest about 50 miles away.
And here he is. This is the suspect, Ryan Wesley Routh, who's in his late 50s. He spent time as a volunteer in Ukraine after the Russian invasion. And our Holly Williams was in touch with him when he was overseas, and she joins us now. Holly, good morning. What else can you tell us about this man?
Hey there, Nate. Look, when I woke up this morning in London to the news that Ryan Routh was the suspect in an alleged assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump, I was stunned to recognize the name, because I had been in touch with Ryan Routh for over a year in the early stages of the war in Ukraine. Like thousands of other international volunteers, he apparently went to Ukraine to help. I do not believe he was fighting himself, but he had put signs up in Kyiv, Ukraine's capital, offering to help other foreigners find places in Ukrainian battalions. And that's how I initially came across him. I spoke with him, I think, once on the phone and texted frequently, and he put me in touch with several foreign fighters. Now, he seemed very genuine and passionate about supporting Ukraine. He mentioned plans to bring in thousands of Afghan and Syrian fighters, which I took, frankly, with a grain of salt. In an interview with the news website Semaphore, he claimed he'd been unable to get visas for those Afghan fighters, but we don't know if he was actually in touch with any Ukrainian officials at all. Now, I've met American volunteers everywhere from Syria to Ukraine. Some are experienced soldiers and very clear about the dangers they're facing. Others seem less well informed and their motivations can be quite confused. To be honest, Ryan Routh did at times seem fairly naive. At one point, he sent me an audio track of a song he'd apparently recorded about the carnage caused by the war in Ukraine.
Leak it. If you don't leak it, oh my God, I need to hear the song. Oh my God. We have to. This is public knowledge. Like, this is in the interest. This is in the interest of the public. We must hear it. This is the one that I suspect he also, like, tried to get the Dave Matthews Band to also sing. Dude, this guy is awesome. This guy is fucking dope, dude. What a fucking character. Holy shit. What a hilarious character this man is. This is literally like such a uniquely American crank. Like, oh my God.
Ukraine. In November of last year, he told me he was back in the US, in Hawaii, and that was the last time I heard from him. Christine.
All right, Holly, interesting points there. Thank you for that information.
Go to Dana Marie McNichol. She is live from West Palm Beach. Good morning.
Good morning, Dana. As this active investigation continues here outside Trump International Golf Course, we're learning more about Ryan Routh, who has an extensive presence on social media, posting multiple times about the former president. According to public records, 58-year-old Routh had at least 100 run-ins with police, according to Fox Digital. He made his opinions very clear on X, where he posted about former President Trump, the war on Ukraine, the 2020 election, and other world events. His account even weighed in on the former President Trump's assassination attempt back in July, calling on Vice President Kamala Harris to visit those injured at the Pennsylvania Trump rally, saying, quote, Trump will never do anything for them. And
yeah, he's perfect. He's perfect. Like, he is the guy that I thought was not a real guy. Turns out there is one of them out there. You know what I mean? He's just like it blows my mind that this is a person that I feel like I invented in my mind, and it turns out he is a real person. Like, we have talked so much about how there is no real, like, NATO voter. There is no real, like, AUKUS voter. Like, there is one. This is the guy. And what's really ironic about it, and a chatter already pointed this out, is that despite being the NATO voter, he was still potentially going to vote for motherfucking Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy. God, I love American politics. Like, he literally, bro, the one NATO voter who fucking hated Donald Trump, voted for Donald Trump, lifelong Republican, becomes a Bernie bro for a brief moment in 2020, Tulsi Gabbard fan, starts hating Tulsi Gabbard, thinks Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to do a better job than Donald Trump, and is like thinking about potentially voting for them. You can't make it up. It's just, he is the guy. It's so fucking perfect. Like, Biden was trying to desperately win that guy's vote, and he still was like, you know who I want to vote for? Vivek Ramaswamy and Nikki Haley. Which is funny because Vivek Ramaswamy was like super pro-Russia, but he was also extremely anti-China. Does he follow you? No. Chat, come on. This man's Reddit. First of all, this man is on Reddit. Secondly, he's known in like the NATO circles. And last but not least, he is vehemently anti-communist Russia and anti-China. Do you think that's the type of guy that would be a fan of mine? Are you insane? That's the type of guy who puts me on the fucking hit list next. He's incredible. He's incredible. His truck home had a Biden-Harris sticker on it. Oh, no, he is like, I think everything that I just told you about his like political attitude is 100% correct. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And I think he inevitably like landed on being reluctantly pro-Biden almost. Like, he's fascinating. I think he is the guy that you see on like those CNN focus groups. You know what I mean? Like, he is that undecided guy that is so truly unique that it almost is a disservice when CNN brings them forward and they're like, so what do you think about the last night's speeches? And it's like, you'll be like, why is this person even remotely relevant in the political conversation? Like, there's not another person like this. That's him. I think he made his decision on Trump. No, he was definitely anti-Trump. But he did originally vote for Trump, which goes back to what I was talking about. I think, like, when he first originally voted for Trump, he probably considered Trump to be, like, less militant and more of a peaceful dove than, like, the establishment, right? Because he voted for him in 2016. It's another fucking former Trump voter, lifelong registered Republican. It's awesome. So a dumbass. I mean, yeah, of course, but many Americans are like this, not to the same severity as this guy. But I do find it really funny that, like, up until the very last moment, he was still, like, potentially angling to vote for a Republican, despite the fact that Joe Biden was basically communicating direct messages to this man's brain.
Quote. Now, Routh currently lives in Hawaii after spending the majority of his life in North Carolina, where he worked in construction, including owning a company called United Roofing. The Palm Beach County Sheriff said this morning they're looking into his flight schedule and how he even traveled to get here in Florida. Right now, they say Routh is not talking to law enforcement. Now, a witness saw Routh run from the golf course bushes and jump into a black Nissan yesterday. He was then pulled over on I-95 in Martin County.
Also, I do think it's kind of crazy that he's, like, this much of a fucking crank, but has, like, the wherewithal to not talk to law enforcement, which is kind of crazy. I don't know.
Made the stop and then at gunpoint ordered him out of the vehicle. He complied. His demeanor was perplexing in some way, despite the fact that we had numerous people out with rifles, uniformed personnel, a helicopter.
And no charges have been filed just yet, but we do expect that's the next step. We're also looking for details about when he could possibly be in court. Now, we are hearing this morning that the active director of the Secret Service is here on the ground at the golf course and should be doing a walkthrough of the site shortly. Mel and Dana.
Dana Marie McNichol, thank you.
I'm Steve. The other thing I'll say is, because of how uniquely online and how uniquely insane this guy was in terms of his, like, political opinions, like the broader politics of it all, I am now marginally increasing the likelihood that, like, he might have been activated by Iran in some way, okay? Yesterday I said there's very low likelihood, but now I've moved it into it's still less likely, but it could be the case. Okay? I think it's still not likely, but it is, in my assumption, in my analysis, maybe a little bit marginally more likely than I thought yesterday. Especially because, like, I do believe the federal authorities when they say, like, Iran wants to, like, assassinate Donald Trump because of Qasem Soleimani, and I believe he has tweeted about, or not tweeted about, but, like, wrote in his book about how he wanted the IRGC to kill Donald Trump. Then the title of his book is Ukraine's Unwinnable War: Fatal Democracy, World Abandonment of Global Citizen, Taiwan, Afghanistan, North Korea, and End of Humanity. Yeah, he apparently asked Iran to assassinate Donald Trump in his book. What is this? Look at the mention of you in chat.
To hop on here and hypothesize about today's happenings, but after reading the tweets of the elongated muskrat and finding out there was a fundraising email in the inbox of the elderly less than 5 minutes after shots were fired, well, I'm right back like good crack, Jack. Let's talk about it. Now, obviously, you need to take anything I or anybody who runs the yap trap on this app says with the biggest grain of salt you got in your kitchen, but motherfuckers, this shit right here smells like somebody been fishing. Now, I can't tell you it was fake, but I can tell you my professional opinion as a retired wrestler is that I know Vince McMahon's handiwork when I see it. And this time, the only bump Trump had to take was in the golf cart on the way back up to the pool bar for some lip service from Laura Loomer. That motherfucker wasn't never in no danger. He just wanted some of your saved up dollars. And the sad part is, some of you motherfuckers sent that shit post-haste and paid the processing fee. The rest of y'all have you a wonderful motherfucking evening. As you proceed through your week, remember to keep those motherfucking boots out your motherfucking mouth. And remember that the golden rule will always remain, yeehaw, fuck the law. Friends, I will see y'all down the line.
Dude, incredible stuff. These are days where I'm like, I fucking love American politics, dude. It's not really that odd. Schizophrenia and other diseases have a myriad of different symptoms and severity. It's common to simply have delusions. Things cannot be disproven to the person. Not every person with schizophrenia is non-functioning. Yeah. What? Another crazy leftist conspiracy is that after the failed Venezuela coup yesterday, small chance he was used as a distraction since our CIA keeps sucking. Yeah, no, I don't think anyone in America cares about like the Venezuelan coups not panning out. They care way more. In their higher order of priority, Americans care more about the top of the hour ad break coming 18 minutes into the top of the hour than they do about like yet another fucking failed coup in Venezuela. Okay? It's just weird to me because it's like, it's right there. This guy's footprint is so fucking Fed adjacent. And he absolutely, without a shred of doubt, has probably, given his like exploits in Ukraine, linked up with an agent at a certain point. So it's honestly shocking to me that the right wing has not been faster to be like, this is a fucking deep state assassination plot. Like, I'm kind of disappointed in the right for this one. I'd be more disappointed in you guys, though, if you didn't subscribe at the top of the hour to avoid seeing the ad break. Here it is now. He's not talking to the police. He's gone nonverbal. Yeah, he's got small bean autism, dude. I don't know why they're hurting my man like this. He just had a hyperfixation on AK style, the AK platform. He just wanted to show off his gun. He was bird watching with the scope.
As I mentioned earlier, Ryan Wesley Routh had expressed support for Ukraine. He did that in dozens of posts on X. He traveled to the country. And in a newly surfaced video from 2022, he went so far as saying he was willing to die in the war there. Take a listen.
Putin is a terrorist, and he needs to be ended. So we need everybody from around the globe to stop what they're doing and come here now and support the Ukrainians to end this war.
Last October, Routh began trying to enlist Afghan conscripts to fight in the war using social media, presenting himself as an off-the-books liaison for the Ukrainian government. Newsweek Romanian journalist Remes Cherna met the man who'd been detained in connection with this apparent assassination attempt in Ukraine, actually met him on several occasions, stayed in touch with him, and told CNN he was surprised by Ryan Routh's alleged involvement in this incident. Saying, for me, it's a surprise because I viewed him as an idealistic, innocent, genuine person without any murderous instinct. And that journalist joined.
Bro didn't see his tweets about what he wanted to do to Moscow. He's like, yeah, I thought he was like an idealistic humanist. Yeah, he was, you know how like there's progressives except Palestine? Bro was progressive except Russian civilians. Like, we looked at his tweets. He was literally adding Elon Musk to be like, give me a nuke. Give me a nuclear warhead. I'm going to strap a nuclear warhead on top of one of your rockets, and I'm directly going to hit Moscow.
Joining me now via Skype from Bucharest. I think we were all struck by that observation. Walk us through a little bit more. The person who you met and then ultimately stayed in touch with, what was your impression?
I met him in my first day in Kyiv in June 2022. I've been there for 15 times since. He seemed to me to be an idealistic person, a genuine person who wanted to support Ukraine, and this is a good cause, of course. But, you know, sometimes we can see this in history and in many other cases. Sometimes an idealistic person can become a fanatic, open to do horrible things for his cause. And it's important to understand that it's not enough to have a good.
I don't get it. If you find him to be like a humanist, idealistic person for like wanting to fucking assassinate Vladimir Putin, for being like a dictator and a murderous like dictator, why does that not extend to Donald Trump? Like, if that's your actual fucking principle here, if you're like, oh, dude, he's just saying he wants to murder Putin and like maybe a bunch of Russians in the process, but like he's like an idealistic humanist, then like shouldn't that same morality apply to Donald Trump too? Especially directly as a consequence of Donald Trump openly communicating that he would not help Ukraine anyway, like routinely. I'm serious. Like, I'm not saying I agree with the guy. I'm simply stating that, like, how do you see what he's saying about Putin as not like unhinged, but then also see what he's saying about Donald Trump as like, or what he tried to do with Donald Trump as like an unhinged act? If anything, it's directly in line. Hasan, we're feeling really protective over Trump right now. Read the room.
Good cause. It's also important to serve this cause with democratic tools, let's say. And violence, it's forbidden, it's prohibited in democracy. We have elections. Honestly, I don't like Trump. And if I would be American, I would vote against him, but I want him to be defeated in elections in using democratic procedures, not violence or attempting these kind of attempts on his life. Ryan seemed to me to be an idealistic, and maybe he pushed too far his ideas somehow.
So in terms of that, when it came to his ideas, you mentioned the former president. Did Ryan Routh ever bring up with you his feelings about Donald Trump?
No, as I remember, but he was a bit disappointed by the fact that Ukraine was supported by Western countries enough to resist to the Russian invasion, but not enough to win the war. And of course, this feeling is widespread in Eastern Europe or in Ukraine. Of course, Ukrainians are thankful for all those who support Ukraine, and I support also this cause. I think that Ukraine should win this war, should expel the Russians from all of the Ukrainian territories, and this is a good cause. It's an important cause, and we need a strong United States and a strong democracy in United States, because if United States is weak, everything bad can happen in the world. So this supposedly attempt of Ryan is weakening United States democracy. So that's why it's a very bad thing that he did. I hope that the support for Ukraine will increase in the next few months and years in order to help Ukraine to win this war.
You mentioned that someone like Ryan Routh, who you described as an idealist, you noted that sometimes an idealist can become a fanatic.
No, that's why I was very surprised when I saw in the news what happened.
There's something really funny about this, because the guy who they're talking to right now interviewed this man, the suspect, and in that interview, Ryan had his hair dyed in the Ukrainian flag colors. So for him to just be like, I did not read him as weird guy, but good guy, is like, come on, man. You can agree with like Ukrainian emancipation and still be like, yeah, he was a bit of a fucking weirdo. Like, I don't understand why we're just doing this read where it's like, no, he seemed like perfectly normal guy who loved Ukraine a lot. Like, how the fuck did none of the journalists that were in contact with this guy go, yeah, this dude was a nutcase, bro? Like, how? He was. What the fuck?
saw that he was open to do some, let's say, not so legal things. You mentioned a few minutes ago his attempts to, he's trying to get some people from.
Like, for all anyone's criticisms might be of the way that they operate in Ukraine, like, they saw him and were like, no, dog, you can't have a weapon. Okay? Because they recognized this dude is mentally unwell. So why are like Western or Western adjacent journalists being like, nah, he was like a totally normal dude? Like, there's obviously a reason where the motherfucking Foreign Legion, which is desperate for bodies, looked at this man and was like, you cannot be trusted with a weapon, okay? You obviously cannot be trusted with a fucking weapon, dude. They straight up was like, yeah, nah, dog, we're good, I think. No, we're good. In 2022, they probably had enough people. No, they didn't. No, they were still looking for help. Like the bar for like the bar for refusing someone's like help in this situation is, you know, refusing someone's help, you got to be really, really fucking, like, you got to be putting out the weirdest vibes, okay? There was a Ukrainian chatter in the chat. It was like, I'm Ukrainian and this guy cares about Ukraine more than I do. Like, he was a little bit out there, to say the least, okay?
Other countries to join to the Foreign Legion in Ukraine, but in doing so, he was open to do some illegal things. He asked me also to do some not so legal things, and of course I didn't accept such kind of things. So he was open to do for a good cause, to do bad things for a good cause.
Can you elaborate on that beyond trying to bring in other foreigners to fight for Ukraine? What else was he suggesting, and even suggesting that you do?
Yeah, he suggested something that anyway I couldn't do and I'm not able to do and I don't want to do, to help some people get the transit visa through Romania to Ukraine. But of course I rejected this without question, without any other word.
Was there anything that he was suggesting that was of a violent nature?
No. That's why he said that he would die. He would die for Ukraine, or he would sacrifice himself for Ukraine. And it's true that there is a risk in Ukraine. Every day is a.
Bro, this is the problem. Like, liberals don't read like we should nuke Moscow as like an inherently violent statement. That's the problem. That's why they're like, no, he was just like totally fucking nonviolent guy. It's like, no, like, people who are predisposed with human rights understandably see the wrong that Russia is committing, okay? Understandably recognize the wrong and the great evil actions of the Russian forces by invading Ukraine, by killing a shit ton of people. But like, when your retaliation is like, yeah, let's fucking nuke Moscow, it's like, okay, but that's an unhinged thing to say. And many people do say it, and I think that's why it's like so normalized in terms of like how commonplace this kind of attitude is. But like automatically, when a guy says that, you're like, I don't know if he's like all there.
The risk in Ukraine. There is a saying that it states that you never know if your name is written on the next missile or drone there in Ukraine. But he has no military training. That's why I wonder how he thought that he can shoot someone. I understood that he had a gun because he has no military training. So that's why he wasn't able to join to the International Legion.
Was he, when he wasn't allowed to join, did he talk to you about that? About how, was he disappointed? Was he upset? How would you describe him?
in that interview that I did with him in June 2022, he told me that he is unable to join International Legion because he has no military experience, no military skills. So it's in that interview. So I wonder how he thought that he can do something with a weapon. So I don't know details. I don't know how skillful is he, but I suppose he's not so well skilled in this in using a weapon.
What?
Remister, really appreciate your insight.
Bro said, lame ass didn't. He didn't have the fucking background to be able to successfully pull off this assassination. That's wild. All I'm saying is, in the midst of an ongoing invasion, understand that the Ukrainian military looked at this guy and was like, nah, we're good, dog. Like, they didn't even put him in a civilian position. Like, his contacts with the Foreign Legion are not official. He presented it as such, but it turns out he wasn't even like officially connected to any kind of like civilian liaison officer position within the Foreign Legion. Like, they literally were like, I'm good, man. So overall, I think it's funny that like people are making it seem like he didn't like read as like a total nut job. Obviously, I don't condone his action. However, they don't seem to know his Ukrainian soldiers would follow him to their end. His Afghan fighters are at his beck and call, and his friends in Taiwan are awaiting his orders. Wouldn't be shocked if he's just pretending to be detained right now, as his squad could easily free him at any moment. They're playing with fire, and CNN just lit the match. Stay strong. You are our hero, Ryan. I love QAnon LARPing for fucking Ryan Ruth.